Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is good. Yeah, it's all good. I just finished today book 5, Harry Potter, book 5. And so we did a video for books 1 through 3. I read book 4. I was going to do a video for it as a standalone, but then I thought I'll do just book 5 and then 6 and 7, or maybe those will be I don't know. The point is, I finished book 5, and so let's go to book 4. Very much the same as books 1 through 3. Book 4 is kind of just a fun romp. One thing I really enjoy about the first 4 books as a set, if you look at those 4 volumes as their own thing, and they kind of are, and the story of what's happening to Harry, those are the kind of Act 1, that is Act 1, basically. They're fun adventures, and they are setting up a whole bunch of things for the final payoff, right? And book 4 ends on a downturn. It ends on Harry's just seen something that's terrible and terrifying and life-changing. He grew up at the end of book 4. He had to. He was forced to, right? It wasn't his choice. It just happened. But the first 90% of the book is still the same kind of fun, jaunty romp as the first 3 books. And one thing I really like about those 4 books in particular is the brevity. I really like how the author gives you a detail and then just skips ahead. Like, we don't need all an info dump. Here's what you need to know. Let's jump ahead a month. Here's what you need to know. Let's jump ahead 2 weeks. There's not a bunch of little bullshit in between, and there's not a bunch of segments of characters just blathering at each other because we as the audience need to know something. We'll just skip all that and just jump ahead, and I really like that. Book 5, on the other hand, was just tough to get through. I mean, the other books took me days to read. Book 5 took me like a week and a half. It's just such a boring book. It's such a huge departure from the writing style of the first 4. I understand the conspiracy theory that says that book was written by a ghostwriter, because it does feel very, very wrong in comparison to the first 4 books. It's so very different in scope. It's so very different in feel. It's so very just dull. There's like nothing happens. I mean, yes, everything happens, but nothing happens to Harry. That's the weird part about the book. Character development happens all over the place, except for with Harry. He starts the book an angsty, upset teen. He ends the book an angsty, upset teen. There is no character progression for Harry whatsoever. He gets a little nugget of information about his life at the end of the book, and that's it. The rest is, everybody else goes through massive change. Everybody else has huge character arcs and has really good swings. Harry is just a little shit for how that for the longest book of the series. Book 5 is like twice the thickness of every other book. It's just such a hard book to read. And the funny part about it is, I don't mean it's a hard book to read because it's hard language. It's just, there's just so much extra detail. Like, I feel like the author really took it upon, they had joy in just telling us all about this miserable Umbridge lady and this miserable experience that this, and maybe they did. Maybe that was the whole point of the book, was that we were supposed to be inside the mind of a 15-year-old boy. And having been a 15-year-old boy, I can tell you that a lot of that angsty, I know better than everybody else attitude is a very normal thing to experience, but it just was over and over and over. And to have no real payoff for it at all. I mean, there's no payoff in this book for Harry. None. Zero. It's just another shitty situation. I don't know. It felt wrong. On top of that, the writing style. So people have said that one of the nice things about this series is that it grows up with the reader. If you were Harry's age when book one was written and you read these books as you age, the writing style, meaning the prose, the sentence structure, the depth, it grows with you. And I somewhat agree with that, especially as far as themes go. As far as themes go, the books do seem to progress into more adult themes. But the first four books, I felt, maintained a very consistent writing style, a very consistent, down to earth, anybody can read this writing style. And then all of a sudden in book five, it's these very complex sentences, very complex, word choice. I had to look stuff up in this book, and it's a teen book, not even YA. I would classify it as YA, but it was more of a teen book, above middle grade for sure. But it was a very complex writing style, very, very dense reading. And, I enjoy the world. I enjoy the idea of the wizarding world. But man, that book was tough. I think I rated it 3 stars on Goodreads. I'll stand by that. It's just kind of an okay book. Like I realize, having watched the movies, I know what's about to happen. I realize this is like the Act 2 turning point. Book 5 is basically Act 2. Act 2 still goes into book 6, but Act 2 is... And so it's this middle ground slog that needs to set up everything that's about to happen. And I recognize that we have to get through that. I just wish it could have been more chipper, like the first 4 books. It could have been a little bit more of an adventurous fun instead of just, I don't know, whatever it turned out being. Let me know what you think about book 5. I'd love to hear from you. I'm sure we have a question from Chris. I haven't actually checked today, so let's do that so I can stop thinking about this right now.
Hey, friend, how are you?
Good.
X number of days until Gen Con. So today's question had just come with something. Hair. You know what? You're going gray. You're looking good. I got a little gray myself. Question number 1. If your significant other ever asked you, would you take the Grecian formula to it? And then today's bonus question, facial hair. When's the last time you were sporting any hair, and would you ever consider shaving the beard off? Until next time.
Gray hair. I've had gray hair since I was about 16. I got really gray in my 30s. But from 16 to 30, I had more and more gray hair coming in. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I've had my significant other, as well as other people, tell me it's one of my most redeeming qualities, or they really like the look of it on me. I've had lots of people compliment me on my hair. Would I color it if she asked? Probably. I don't know. I don't really put a whole lot of thought into my looks, and most times I wear a hat, so it's whatever. But I don't think she's going to ask. I think that she's into the older guy look. So here we go. Facial hair, though. Would I shave off the beard? I sported a goatee for most of my 20s and 30s. I only started growing the beard in the last 5 years. But I have not properly shaved in at least 20 years. Meaning that I haven't used a razor or an electric shaver in 20 years. I will use a beard trimmer and cut to a stubble, but I haven't gone down to like smooth skin in 20 years, literally 20 years. So would I ever shave? No. I have no interest in using any sort of razor or on my face. Would I trim it off? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I really like it. And so I intend to keep it for now. There you go. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again on Monday. Today's word you should know to sound smart is mores. It is a noun meaning the accepted norms of social behavior for the time and society in which you live. Grant learned the hard way that mores vary from country to country when he made the faux pas of trying to shake the hand of the Thai businessman. Mores. M-O-R-E-S. Hadn't heard that one either. That's a good word. The customs, I guess. Social behavior and norms. Mores.